apologize for that. My name is Dave Doherty, alongside my partner in crime, Aileen Northern. Hey, Aileen.
Hi, Dave.
All right. Good to see everybody. Thanks for taking the time and carving it out. Aileen and I we were talking earlier today about cliches, and I actually forgot about this one, Aileen. Do you remember when people used to say about meetings, like they couldn't stand how you would talk about what you're going to talk about in the meeting, and then you'd have the meeting, and then have a meeting to talk about what they talked about in the meeting? Do you remember that one?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, that's not what we're going to do today. But we are going to talk about what was talked about in Adobe Summit, and we are going to talk about what will be talked about in the upcoming Gov Forum. So we have just a list of powerhouse speakers today, actually, as you can see on the screen, and a packed agenda. So I'm going to stop talking, and we're going to jump right into it, taking a look back. So we're going to talk about, I'm sorry, we're going to look forward. See, I even confused myself. We're going to talk about what we're going to talk about at the upcoming Gov Forum. And I could not think of a better person to join us today and give us that preview than a friend of mine who happens to be the Chief of Global Government Solutions here at Adobe, Mr. Jonathan Bennett. Jonathan, do you have some things you can share with us?
Absolutely. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thanks, Aileen, for the opportunity. I've got a couple slides I want to share, but thank you everyone for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us today. And hopefully you're already registered for Adobe Government Forum. If not, I'd like to share a couple of things about it, so that you might consider joining us in exactly 1 week. 1 week and a day. So first of all, Dave, can you confirm, can you see my screen?
Looks perfect.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Can you switch, Jonathan, your display screen?
Thank you. That helps.
We could see it, but I think we're seeing the speaker mode. There you go.
Oh, there we go.
Perfect.
Excellent. Technology's great.
See,
when it
I
works.
got your back.
I thank you. I really appreciate that. All right, terrific. So coming up 1 week from tomorrow, that's May 1st, 2024, we're going to be having our 15th annual Adobe Government Forum. 15 years of collaboration, knowledge sharing, and lessons learned, talking across multiple government, federal, defense, intelligence, state, local, just even international. We've got some international guests coming from Australia to join us this year, and really excited. So let me just walk through some of the content. First of all, it is next Wednesday. It's going to be at the Kennedy Center. It's going to be 8 o'clock to 5:30. And the main program is happening in the Eisenhower Theater. The theme is experience-driven government, employee experience in the future of work, and future-proof CX, or customer experience, with content velocity, authenticity, and generative AI. And I'm going to walk through some of the programming here, but just a quick look. If you're not from the Washington, D.C. area, the John F. Kennedy Center for Performing Arts is a just beautiful venue in Washington, D.C., right on the Potomac River, near the mall. It's gorgeous, and it's got some beautiful space inside that will be moving all around the Kennedy Center. Really excited to have access to the entire facility and some really beautiful spaces. This is a high-level overview of the day, and I'm going to then drop down into each of these areas and give you a little better view and idea of what the programming looks like to hopefully encourage you to participate. So first, we'll look at the keynotes in the morning. So the morning will kick off in the big theater with some keynotes. You'll hear from our Vice President of Public Sector. You'll hear from our Chief Financial Officer and Executive Vice President for Finance, Technology, and Service Operations. We've got an all-star panel of some amazing leaders in CX innovation, including former federal CIO Suzette Kent. And we've got, of course, hey, you can't have a conference, you can't even have a meeting without talking about AI, or let alone generative AI. So we're going to have a keynote on the state of generative AI in government, and some of the opportunities and some of the making, the things we want to do to make sure that we are promoting trust and transparency in the ethical use of AI. And Adobe is all in on the ethical use of AI and doing things the right way. Then we're going to look at the government workforce of the future, because we know that if you're in government, it's hard to hire people, and it's even sometimes hard to retain talent. I spent over 10 years in federal government myself, the Patent and Trademark Office, Department of Agriculture. Hiring has always been a challenge, but there's some things that technology is helping to do to recruit and retain the next generation of talent in public sector. Pretty cool. Next keynote, we're going to talk about building trust. And, it's not a surprise that sometimes trust scores or levels are low or down when talking with customers or citizens and interacting with government. But there are ways that, and there are some organizations doing it right. One of those is the state of Oklahoma. Another is the state of Illinois. And thank you, Chris. I see Chris Willison is on the call today. He's actually going to be, I'm going to show you where he's speaking later in the program. So I'm going to embarrass you just a bit, Chris. But we're going to talk about, how we're building in trust through experience-driven government, including one of my friends, Peter Buckmaster's coming all the way from Brisbane, Australia, talk about how they're building the most quote-unquote livable city in the world in preparation for the 2032 Olympic Games in Brisbane. And then we'll have a closing keynote talking about, spatial computing, unlimited reality, and creativity, some really cool edge, delivery kind of creativity topics here. After our morning keynotes in the big theater, we're going to have a series of lunch tracks, and we're going to get down to, kind of choose your own adventure. There is also a federal track here that was not included on the slide here, but we've got a state and local, a DOD, and a federal track to kind of choose your own adventure and participate while having lunch and networking. And in the afternoon, we're going to go to the Reach area, which is a separate section of the Kennedy Center, a really beautiful area. And you get to choose your own adventure of, if experience-driven government is your thing and you want to learn more about it, you've got 3 options to choose from throughout the day. You've got focused on building a roadmap for digital first public experiences, for building public trust, and how to create CX centers of excellence. As you can see on the bottom left there in the roadmap for digital first public experiences, Chris is going to be speaking in that. And thank you, Chris. Really appreciate your partnership there. In the second track, we've got the government workforce of the future. And this is about that, hire to retire, and how to improve that through innovative use of technology. And then finally, we're talking about future-proofing CX with content velocity, authenticity, and generative AI. If you don't know have you ever heard content velocity, it means the content supply chain. It means just basically all the work that goes into developing content, because every great experience starts with content. And through content creation, curation, collaboration, working through an organization, people working on content, and then publishing that content efficiently and effectively. And that is it. Any questions? Because we have a smaller group, in a sense, I feel like I could take some questions and answers, but any questions that anyone has about the day?
Jonathan, there is a question in the chat from Tom, wondering if they have to register ahead for which lunch they'd like to attend.
You do not have to register for which lunch you want to attend. Great question, though. But you do have to register for the day. Okay, and if you're in government, it's complimentary. But please go ahead and register. And I'll even include a registration link in the meeting chat here, so you can go right to that.
Jonathan, I'm a step ahead of you. I already stuck it in there.
Awesome.
So hopefully you can find the link in there. There was another question here from Charity, if there will be vegan options. Is that something they can select during the registration process?
Charity, it's a really good question. I am not 100% sure, because I want to be 100% sure when I say that to you. But our marketing team and our events team is really pretty savvy, and they're always thinking ahead. I'm sure that there is, but I will reach out and confirm that with our marketing team.
Jonathan, thank you so much. Again, for everyone on the call, we've included the link to register for Adobe Government Forum next week. So we hope you all plan on joining us at the Kennedy Center. So Jonathan, thank you again for joining us. We're going to switch gears now. We're excited to introduce one of my teammates, Shireen Butler, on the call. She is a Principal Customer Success Manager. And Shireen was able to attend Adobe Summit last month, and we've invited her here to take a look back, as Dave mentioned, and to share some of her insights and key learnings from Summit, as well as some tips potentially to help you plan for your in-person attendance next year. So Shireen, all you. Oh, Shireen, I think you're on mute. Gotcha.
I realized that as soon as I put my screen share on. Can you see my screen okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Excited to share the Summit experience. I had hoped to have one of our customers on this forum with me today, so you could have heard directly from a government customer about their experience at Summit. However, Catherine unfortunately wasn't able to join us today because of a conflict, but she was kind enough to write up this email that she said we could share with the community. While I also talk a little bit about the Summit experience, and then we have a quick minute and a half video I'll end with. Summit is such a great time and an incredible learning opportunity for our government customers to hear from Adobe experts as well as other customers about the products that they're using and how they're utilized, and really getting to think outside of the box. As you read through Catherine's email here, her scope of the applications she works with is limited to what they're implementing and what they're leveraging within her forms directorate. So coming to Summit, she was really able to open her eyes to see at the breadth of products and topics and use cases that our applications are used around the world, and look at it from a different perspective for her own agency. I think leveraging the sessions and getting to meet people in person, to speak to other customers, as well as speaking to Adobe experts in a way that was relatable was really valuable for her. And it was such a great time as well. Shaq was one of our guest speakers at the Sneaks, as well as the end party on the final night for Bash. He was DJing. Recommend if you're interested in seeing some of the kind of outtakes of Summit, going to Instagram and just hashtag Adobe Summit 2024 or Adobe Summit. There's some videos out there of Shaq DJing the event as well for the final night. But how do we get customers to Summit? So there's always the registration directly on the Summit website, but another way to plan on going is during your renewal period. On your contract, we do have SKUs that can be incorporated into your contract so that your conference admission is taken care of and that we can join you there in person, and that you get all the experience and the learning that comes from Summit. Hopefully that's given everyone a chance to see this email in its entirety, and then I'm going to switch and do a quick video. If only, let's see, let's switch windows. Okay.
Shireen, we're seeing it, but I'm not hearing the audio.
You're not hearing it? Oh, it worked earlier. What happened?
I know it worked. It worked earlier.
I know, we tested it and it worked, and now I'm gonna blame Dave for trying to get me to play music. Hold on, let me try that again. Good?
Good, thank you.
Thanks.
Adobe Summit is where all my favorite people get together and have great ideas about how to engage audiences better.
We believe we are in a unique position to help you move Gen AI from a shiny new toy to technology that you can confidently put into production and from which you can get real business value. With AI, we're able to deliver unprecedented personalization to every digital experience. I'm thrilled today to be announcing the next major milestone for Firefly, which is Firefly Custom Models and Firefly Services. We are building more content for more personalization than we've ever had before.
This is a dream come true. I went from 1 channel to 4 channels in seconds.
On the eve of Summit, right here in Las Vegas, we held the 2024 Experience Maker Awards. It's Adobe's honor to celebrate the amazing work you and your teams do every day. Please give it an extremely warm welcome to the one and only Shaquille O'Neal. Here is a picture of you, and now we have a perfectly edited photo. So you want to take a seat? We can get comfortable, kick things off?
I want to stay here and play with it. Digital technologies are providing us the opportunity to have what we like to think of as a seamless experience for our customers and a unified experience.
My 3 personal brand words are brave, trust, and growth. I will leave you with the following question. What are your 3 brand words?
Adobe Summit, I get to learn a lot. Networking is fabulous. Adobe Summit is inspiring. They're just it, front to back.
We've got a great community. Together, let's change the game and invent the future. Parker. Okay, in front of you.
All right. So just to wrap up, wanting to share what an amazing experience Adobe Summit is. You have the main stage, you have the breakout sessions, and then what I didn't mention is the Experience Pavilion. You saw some of those images during the video, which is an opportunity to meet with our partners as well as Adobe experts. We had our own Ultimate Success booth there that we were able to meet with customers and talk about the Ultimate Success experience, talk about Experience League. So really a great time, and I hope to see you all there next year. And if you have any questions, happy to answer them.
Great. Shireen, thank you so much. That was wonderful. Really appreciate you sharing those insights. We do have the link for Adobe Summit 2024 in one of our closing slides, so you'll be able to go back and revisit all of the exciting events from Summit. So now we're going to switch gears again, and we'd like to introduce Arun Taneja, product manager and director from our digital experience team. And Arun is joining us today to share to stay on the Summit theme and to share some of the innovations announced at Adobe Summit, specifically around AEM Forms. We can use the chat today. If you have any questions during Arun's presentation, please feel free to put those there in the chat, and we can hopefully either address them during today's call, or we can follow up with responses to those questions after today's event. So Arun, I would like to pass it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me share my screen real quick. Can you see my slide?
Yes.
Okay. We go into presenter mode here. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. I'll be walking through the AEM Forms roadmap and also the innovations that we showed at Summit and also some other recent innovations. So happy to take any questions. I'm joined by my team, both the product team and Sudhanshu from engineering. So Anurag and Chris are on the Forms product management team, and Sudhanshu is on the Forms engineering team. So happy to take your questions on chat as I present, and also towards the end we can do live Q&A as well. So let me start with a quick view on the roadmap, right? So what has been influencing our roadmap? What are the value streams that are in driving the features and roadmaps that we built for you? So let me start with the first one. The first value stream that we have been focused on is digital agility through simplification. And this is all about speed of creation, both for the developer and the author, the ability to quickly customize components, style components. So we have moved AEM Forms to core components-based architecture, which means that you can leverage the same expertise that you do for sites. When it comes to customizing these components or styling these components, it's going to be the same approach. So that has been a big value add that we have brought to our customers. This also means we are able to add features like versioning support and unified composition. Versioning support allows you to track changes to your forms, save them as versions, and you can revert back to those versions. So it really helps in keeping track of changes for audit purposes or for general improved forms management. We have on a roadmap now generative AI based assistant, which is going to allow you to quickly create forms, configure forms using prompts, and also provide you expert guidance within the UI. And that is something that can again, give you the digital agility you need to quickly create forms and enrollment experiences. The next value stream is business agility through integration. So this is all about helping you build that end-to-end solution, which is integrated, which has a quick integration with your system of record, anything that you need for bot protection. So things like you know uh, personalized experiences, which has been a struggle to deliver, will also be made possible through our integrations with Adobe Experience Platform in future, including Adobe Journey Optimizer and RTCDP. So that's the swim lane here when it comes to that value stream. We have added extra CAPTCHA support that includes non-Google CAPTCHAs like Edge CAPTCHA and Cloudflare Turnstile that removes the puzzle from the user experience and makes it more frictionless and seamless, leading to higher conversions. So this value stream here is all about those integrated experiences that turn into a full enrollment solution, right? Another interesting innovation on our roadmap is uh, Workfront Fusion. So we have already delivered a Workfront Fusion connector for post form submission automation. So any kind of review and approval that needs to trigger post form submission, like any application that has been submitted that needs to be reviewed, or a citizen benefits request that needs to be reviewed, that is already in early adopter. What is our next use case that we're targeting for Workfront Fusion is work in progress approvals, and you'll see a demo for that, where you want the form that you've authored to be reviewed by stakeholders who are not AEM users. So how can you bring the review and approval of your work in progress forms that are yet to be published and are in development to the rest of the organization for review, like legal, corporate, and whatnot, right? So that's the second value stream. The third value stream is path to modernization, and it's an interesting one here for this audience, because this is all about ability to move to cloud service and making that migration smoother and easier. Uh, this has two aspects to it. One is achieving parity on cloud service in terms of what services we offer, what kind of features we offer. For example, we have been adding a lot of communication related services for output use cases over the last year. And we have pretty much all the communication related services available now, except a couple. And we are trying to bridge that gap also very soon. The second aspect of it, other than parity, is how easy it is to move to cloud, right? Okay, you make the decision to move to cloud service, how easy it is, given all your security constraints and, compliance constraints that you have, maybe at least in cases where you can, what does that process look like and how we can make that better? And this is where some of our conversion toolkits come into play. So that's on our roadmap. We want to give you tools to quickly convert XDPs to adaptive forms that are mobile responsive, that are modern, that are easy to fill, and deliver a more delightful user experience. There is also higher SLA being planned, so we're going to go GA with that as well. So you'll have higher SLAs also available on cloud service, in addition to higher level of security that's already available and auto scalability. If you have seasonal surges in your forms, that is something that is already handled on cloud service. The next exciting part here is cloud-based designer. So I'm sure you're all aware of our Forms Designer desktop companion app that is used to build forms and communication templates. This is moving to the cloud. So we are excited to announce early adopter in Q3 for this. And this is going to be a much more intuitive way to create your XTPs and also remove some of the constraints we have had on what kind of operating systems the forms designer sort of works on, right? So this is a big one. The next value stream is all about making the experiences exceptional and more effective. So what I mean by that is delivering these forms with perfect core web vitals, perfect lighthouse scores. We have recently launched edge delivery services for AIM sites and forms. And this does two things. One, it brings content and form creation to everybody in the organization who can use Word or Google Docs or Excel sheets to actually define and design web pages and also design forms that can be included in those web pages in tools of their choice. So this kind of unlocks the form creation and decouples it from only limited to AIM-based authoring. It also brings it to other users who want to use other tools of their choice. That's the authoring aspect of it. And then second thing is it's all edge delivered. It is delivered with perfect lighthouse score, like I mentioned, that leads to lesser bounce off rates. It increases the user engagement and conversions, whether it's the content or the form on a web page. So the other aspect of it is developer velocity. So this is all JavaScript, CSS, no specialized frameworks required. The learning curve is much lesser. There's no steep learning curve to go through. So that's edge delivery services. It includes also the ability to, on our roadmap, the ability to uh, add experimentation to forms so that you can do A/B testing in a continuous loop to get to a form that converts better. And also, we are not losing the AIM-based authoring, the Visivik authoring capability. So for your more functional forms, multi-panel forms, you'll still have the flexibility to use the adaptive form editor and still deliver it to the edge, in addition to maybe the simpler forms that you can do in document-based authoring using Excel or Google Sheets, right? The other innovation that we have as part of this value stream is headless adaptive forms. And this is something that allows you to meet the user where they are in an omni-channel way. You can serve the same form as a single source of truth. After authoring it, can be sent to the web, can be sent to a mobile native app, or it can be sent to a conversational medium like web chat or WhatsApp, which really increases the surface of user engagement and also meets the user in a channel of their choice, which is going to lead to higher conversions and higher form fill rates. So that's the overall roadmap. As you're aware, we do take a cloud-first approach to our innovations, but we do side port a significant portion to 6.5 branch as well, which is available to our managed services and on-premise customers. I'm going to highlight a few here. One is headless adaptive forms. So this has been backported to 6.5. It's available since 6.5.18 onwards, actually 17. And also other connectors that we've been building, right? I've talked about post form submission business process automation. We have built several connectors over the last year uh, for storage, for business process automation like Power Automate connector, Workflow Infusion. So one of the connectors that we're also able to backport is the Power Automate connector. So in addition to our inbuilt AIM workflows engine, you also have the flexibility to use Power Automate for your business process automation. And the other one is core components. I mentioned, improved developer experience and authoring experience for customization and styling. That core component functionality is also available on 6.5. In addition to these, we keep obviously making infrastructure updates, and these are part of the service packs that we release and the release notes. So we can share documentation on that. But all the platform updates keep on coming on a regular basis, whether it is newer Windows Server support, uh, application server support that needs to be updated. We keep on doing that. One thing that I want to highlight is uh, JE transaction reporting. So we haven't had support for JE transaction reporting, and that is now available with 6.5.20. And also, like I said, we also want to make sure that you're able to migrate to a more modernized experience easily. We are also working on these conversion utilities and toolkits for converting from XTPs to adaptive form, from adaptive form version 1 to adaptive form version 2, and also any kind of web forms that you have that can be converted easily to adaptive form using this conversion toolkit. So that was the roadmap. I want to highlight some recent innovations quickly before I move to the summit highlights. So like I mentioned, the Power Automate connector. What this allows you to do is take your business process automation to Power Automate, right? So there'll still be many cases where you want to use AIM workflows because of it's being tightly integrated with the repository, anything that has to deal with content in the repository or document orchestration. AIM workflows, in addition to your other submission workflows, continues to be a good choice. But in addition to that, you have now Power Automate flows, right? So you can leverage the Microsoft Power Automate ecosystem, all the connectors that they have, in sort of automating your business processes quickly. So in this case, you're seeing like there is uh, a way to create an approval. You can send notification in Teams and Slack and send data to Microsoft Dynamics easily, and also other systems of record that you need to, right? And you can also invoke e-signature here using a step. So that is the flow here. Uh, if you see here, this is finally posting a message in Slack. And, once the maybe the experience is approved, you can have maybe the form sent for signature. So a very easy way to, uh, you know, automate your business process and give you the flexibility. If you have Microsoft investments, then you can leverage this. And then on the AIM Forms UI, you will be able to pick either from the wizard UI or the drop down in the submission options, which flow you want to invoke when a form is submitted. The other one, which is a result of core components, is the unified composition with sites. So within the sites editor, now you have all the forms components available on the site panel that you can drag and drop and create a form within the sites page, right? So this helps when you want the same persona to be able to build the sites pages as well as functional forms right there versus it being a siloed activity in the adaptive form editor and then the form getting embedded in the uh, on the sites page as a separate activity, right? So this helps you style the forms in a uniform way. You don't have to worry about styling the form consistently with the sites page. That is happening automatically here as you drag and drop these components. So very powerful way to simplify forms creation and also keep things on brand and retaining that brand identity between the content and the form, right? And then last one I want to highlight in terms of recent innovations before we look at the summit highlights is our fast track analytics. We have had analytics integration for a while, but customers have struggled to configure analytics. It has been a complex task. So a couple of quarters ago, actually last year, we launched this. This is something that I wanted to highlight because it's important. Uh, why? Because you want to be able to understand what users are doing with your form. Where are they struggling? Where are they spending more time on your form? So that you can optimize the form for better user experience. So now we have made it a one-click experience to configure analytics on a form. You can go to Form Manager, select a form, and say configure analytics, and then analytics will be configured uh, just at the click of a button, and it automatically collects all the events that you need to track user behavior on a form so that you can improve the form by observing where users are struggling, which field are they experiencing more errors, where do you need to add more uh, uh, help, for example. So then Camilla, as a forms author, can get to the analytics quickly, right? Where she can measure the seasonality of forms, where are the forms getting submitted from based on the geolocations, and also, like I said, look at where are users struggling on the form. So she can go and maybe change the layout of the form to make it easier to fill, change the call to action, maybe from apply to submit or submit to apply or sign up, right, based on what works. I mentioned experimentation earlier. So this analytics as a measuring tool along with experimentation can really lead to highly convertible forms, right, that are more performant in terms of that conversion rate. Okay. Now let's jump to the Adobe highlights. So we highlighted a bunch of innovations and we used day in the life of a team at Weekend. Weekend is portal for adventure enthusiasts and is made up of Camila, who is the forms practitioner, who's the forms author, and is also in charge of uh, digital transformation. George is the line of business manager who reviews and approves incoming applications. And John is a developer who uh, supports development of workflows, custom components, and data integrations. And finally, Aya is the end user trying to sign up for Weekend, right? So I'll highlight which persona is at play. But let me start with the Workfront connector. I also have a couple of videos on edge delivery services. I'll come back to that later, but let me highlight some other innovations that are more relevant here. So what does the Workfront connector do, right, for forms review? So like I said, there'll be cases where you want the form that you're authoring to be reviewed by legal and corporate who are not AEM users, right? So now you'll be able to select a form and send it to review within to Workfront, where other users can log in and look at the form that is being authored that needs to be reviewed. And as you see here, other folks from other departments have annotated and entered comments here, like this terms and conditions needs to change, or there's a comment from Daniel here that remove button should go because unless there are additional users, don't add that. And then there is a comment from corporate that VFinance logo needs to be updated. So these comments can be then shared as a notification with the user in AEM who's the author, and they can then take action and act on that. So here the reviewer is saying approved with changes. And as they do that, uh, so they take a decision that it's approved with changes. Camila, who's the form's author in AEM, will get a notification that there have been some comments posted to the form in Workfront, and then she can go back and make those changes to the form. So we have had review and approval within AEM. This is expanding it to other personas, other departments in the organization who don't necessarily have to log into AEM and can review the content in Workfront, which is a much wider footprint in the organization typically. The next one I want to highlight is, many times there's a need to automate the journey of a user, what forms they're served at what point using a smart campaign. So this is where our Marketo connector comes in. Here you see a smart campaign that is starting with the form being served to the user as a lead gen form. Then as they interact with the brand, their change and affinity score or affinity changes, and then they can be served a new form. So let's see what that looks like. So first, in the form UI, this is the wizard UI that we have launched, where the process of creating the form is broken down into very simple steps. So this is the submission screen, what happens when the form gets submitted. Here, Camilla, as the author, is able to pick Marketo Smart campaign, in this case, the Weekend Adventures campaign, and create that form. And gives it a title, Weekend sign up form, and that form is ready to trigger a smart campaign when that is submitted. And you'll see that in the final experience when Aya submits the form. So now let's see, you saw a couple of forms getting created. One was, so I'm going to highlight the edge delivery services one later, but there was a Weekend form created and there's a VFinance form created, which is for a travel credit card co-branded with Weekend. Let's see what does Aya's experience look like with those two forms created and integrated with Marketo Smart Campaign. So Aya starts filling the form. This is the initial form, which is the Weekend registration form. She starts entering her credentials here, like her email address, phone number, and she also expresses interest in, so accepts the terms and conditions, and then submits the form. Now, based on the smart campaign that was configured, she will get a notification or an email at some point that prompts her to consider the travel credit form that Weekend offers. Now she's able to come here, and most of her data is pre-filled because she's already a user. So think of a citizen coming back for another service. You don't have to worry about the data being filled again. It can be pre-filled uh, based on the existing CRM or what has been already entered by the user, and leveraging a pre-fill service. So now she submits a form. The second part we're highlighting here is that the form gets submitted to Workfront as a business process automation tool. This is again, George as a line of business reviewer can look at the form data that is submitted and then make a decision that it has been approved. Aya then gets uh, an email that prompts her to sign the form that she just submitted. This is again automated through the Workfront Fusion connector that I mentioned earlier, and is able to sign the form. And she's all set signing up for the weekend club as well as the travel credit card that comes with it. Now, let's talk about GenAI, right? So GenAI again has two aspects. One is how can it help you create more forms easily? Second is how can it help uh, end users while they're filling the form. So that is more of a vision demo, but I'll show you both the demos. This is what we can do for the author, right? So we are working on an AI assistant that will be available within the Forms UI as a sidebar or side assistant, where you can give prompts like help me create a credit card application for business that includes details A, B, and C. And then as the user enters that, they're still prompted to pick a theme and a template, because we want to we want to allow our customers to use GenAI in a responsible, corporate, and compliant way, so that you're still sticking to the template that is approved by legal or the theme that is approved by corporate while you are leveraging GenAI. So as you can see here, the form was created just based on the prompt, right? For a credit card application for business, you have all the panels that you would need on such a form, like business details, account details, personal details. And now let's say you want to add a panel to this for bank account details. You are able to do that easily by just giving that prompt. And GenAI is going to give you a few options or variants that you can pick from. So in this case, you pick one of the variants and that panel shows up on the form automatically, right? Uh, Very powerful in how you want to sort of increase your digital agility, as I mentioned earlier, in terms of form creation. Now, it doesn't stop there. We want you to be able to also add business logic to the form, like rules using a prompt. So here we just added a rule to quickly look up city and state based on zip code. You don't have to go code it. It will be added automatically for you. You can add a header and a logo using a prompt. In this case, we said, OK, add my brand's logo in the header and give it this title. You can ask it to change the layout of the form. So taps on left, and it will automatically change the entire layout to that look and feel. And it can also recommend to you what layout would work best for a given sort of type of a form based on the fields on the form and the nature of the form. And then, when it comes to configuration and actual integrations, you can also configure Adobe Sign at the click of a button. You can configure submission endpoints like REST endpoints by just adding the REST endpoint right here in the AI assistant dialog. And now you're able to preview the form. So I think the form creation time when we get to this stage uh, is reduced from maybe weeks to hours to minutes even, right? What remains is maybe testing and validation. That also we are looking to automate in future. So here you saw the business rule or the logic that we added at play as the user entered the zip code, the city and state were auto-populated. So this is what GenAI can do for you. We are launching the early adopter initially with the expert guidance use case, and then within a quarter, we are going to expand it to the automation use case that you see here. So do reach out to us. Chris or Anurag, maybe you can share the early adopter email address on chat as I speak, and we can also highlight it in the end as well. Okay. So next, let's talk about meeting the user where they are, right? I talked about headless adaptive forms. So one of the innovations that we highlighted is at Summit is conversational forms using headless adaptive forms, right? So the way headless adaptive forms work, before I start this video, is it decouples the definition of the form from the rendition of the form. So what gets served from the server is a JSON that can be used to optimize the rendition of the form for a given channel, right? So in this case, the channel is a web chat, uh, a web-based chatbot, right? So the way we are designing it is that you'll be able to add a conversational component to any site's page by dragging and dropping this conversational components, and that's going to lead to this chat prompt being available on that page. So as they click on this, they're greeted with a personalized message, and now they can give a command like, okay, show me the forms that are available, and the user is going to get a list of all the forms that are available as a conversation. So she clicks one of them, which is weekend vacation sign up. And instead of filling a boring field of forms, boring set of fields on, that's stacked on top of each other, here the user is actually filling the form as part of an engaging conversation that is very easy and user friendly. All they're doing is answering basic questions, and all the information that they need to submit for signing up for the weekend club is just done as part of that conversation. And at the end, they can still preview the form if they want to in a visual way. So this is the web form representation of the same form that she just filled. She can preview to make sure that all the data is accurate before submitting, right? Now, all of this is happening from a single source of truth. You're not creating the form separately for mobile app, uh, for chatbot, for web. It is a single source of truth that is the definition of the form, and it can be leveraged across all these multiple channels. You make changes in the original form, then the form that you have implemented on the front end in mobile native app or chatbot medium is going to get updated automatically in addition to the web form, right? So again, empowers the front-end developer because they control the rendition and look and feel for every channel. It empowers the end user because you're meeting them in the channel of their choice. It ensures continuity of form filling across different channels. And then, of course, it helps the author because it's, they're just using the same adaptive form editor to create these forms as well. Okay. Next is more of a vision demo that I want to highlight. Here, we want to go from listing forms and figuring out which forms need to be filled to a scenario where the user is able to express their intent. They don't have to figure out what forms need to be filled. Let's say take a user trying to sign up for city services, multiple utilities. They just express an intent that, this is what I need to sign up for, or I want to move. And as part of a conversation, everything that needs to be captured for fulfilling the objective or the intent is done. In this case, let me just pause here real quick. So in this case, what Maya did is she said, I want to sign up for weekend and also get a travel credit card, right? So she did not say list the forms that you have available. She actually expressed her intent, and then a series of questions were asked for her that spanned multiple forms without her knowing. And finally, just like before, she's still able to look at the visual representation of the forms just to make sure everything looks good. Now, as part of the conversation, she actually filled two forms without realizing that she's filling two forms. The first form here is the sign up form, and after reviewing this, she can submit this. Then she can now look at the second form that was filled for her. Again, it is pre-filled based on the other information she has submitted on the chat or on the other form, or coming from a system of record, or even uh, Adobe Experience Platform or RTCDP in future, right? And the other interesting application of GenAI here could be here she's looking at a complicated panel where she needs to fill in a lot of information. Can she do that by just scanning a document, right? So here she wants to just give a prompt. Can you please use the attachment to fill these details? And then maybe she has a statement that has those business details that she can select from the desktop. And then as she sends that command on the chatbot, this is going to fill this using GenAI. You are able to the GenAI is able to scan the document and map it to fields on the form and autofill that form without Maya struggling to fill that information. Other thing it can do is provide recommendations. So let's say in this case, uh, the user wants to know what would be a reasonable credit limit to enter here, right? So then you can leverage GenAI to figure out and suggest to her what is a good credit limit to apply for based on her profile, right? And this could be of use in, some of the financial scenarios that also come up in government, right? Or other recommendations that you need to provide to your citizens or users as they're filling those forms. So that is more of a vision demo because it also depends on our legal policies and privacy policies, both for you as a customer and us as Adobe, where we land with that. But this is just to highlight the power of GenAI and the art of the possible. Next one that I want to highlight is the cloud-based designer that I mentioned earlier. So very excited about this. We have had customers who have used forms designers for years, if not decades. And this is going to modernize that whole communication and XDP creation experience. Here, let's say we want to create a summary for the user as they participate in the club activities or the activities the club offers in terms of weekend activities or adventures. And we want to create a summary statement like which activity have you performed, how much time you spent doing that activity, or how many miles, and also have uh, things like your credit balance or the number of points you have earned. In Gov case, think of any kind of statements that need to be produced, whether it's a tax document or any kind of statement for a utility or citizen benefit statements, retirement statements, right? So this is just an example from another industry, but you are able to use the same constructs across different use cases. So here we have seen that you can create tables, you can do data bindings, you can have even the image as a variable if you want. And finally, let's say you are able to then sort of upload that to the AIM form server. And when Aya goes to click on her account summary, you can use the output service APIs or our communication APIs to render this document for Aya on demand, that is merging Aya's data uh, with the uh, with the template that you saw earlier, right? So this has existed as functionality for long, but what we are highlighting here is that instead of doing it in Forms Designer, you will be able to do it in a cloud-based designer, right? That removes a lot of constraints and makes things more intuitive. We plan to not just do a lift and shift of Forms Designer to the cloud. We are also trying to improve the way the designer works. For example, adding more constructs like content fragments, word-based fragments that you can bring in. So it's a bit of a long roadmap. We'll get there in steps, but we are going to launch this at least for basic use cases, starting Q3, where you can have early access to it and engage with us as an early adopter to get access to this innovation. Next thing I want to highlight is versioning and translation. So as you're aware, we are able to translate the form automatically to multiple languages. So I'll highlight some of the benefits of that combined with versioning. So like I said, let's say Camilla makes certain changes to the form. Now she will be able to save every time or every edit uh, and give it a new label and save it as a version. So here, for example, the last edit she made, where she maybe changed the logo on top, in this case to make sure that it comes across as a Weekend co-branded credit card. She's able to give it a label, right? That this is a new version that is Weekend co-branded, and enters a comment. And hits create. And now she can actually take any version and compare it to the current version, or actually compare two versions together. Here, as you see, the changes that are the sections that are removed are marked in red, and the sections that have been added will be marked in green, right? So very easy way to compare different versions, and also use it for audit trail, right? So if you want to be able to go back to a previous version or track changes that were done to a form, you're able to do that easily now. And let's talk about translation now, right? So let's say you take the final version that has gone through all the reviews, all the changes. Now you're ready to translate it to multiple languages. Maybe, we have had requests from many states within US, like California, to be able to, and New York, where you want to uh, serve the form to uh, citizens who have, preferences for a certain language. You're able to do that quickly now. And we have recently added support for right to left languages as well, where needed. So, versioning and translation put together, I think really gives you that scalable solution that you need to go from one form to multiple versions that can be tracked, and then from the final version to multiple languages that can be made available. Here you see, the form can be translated to Spanish, including the labels, right? Uh, and French, German. You can actually uh, automatically translate to many languages that we support out of the box, and the recent edition being right to left languages as well. So that's all I had to highlight. I'm happy to talk about edge delivery services also a bit, but that is kind of limited to the cloud. So in addition to some of the other innovations I showed you, but I'll stop sharing now and maybe see if there are any questions on chat, or if anybody wants to come off mute and ask their questions, please do so.
Arun, thank you so much. I don't know if there's any additional questions that weren't addressed in the chat, but if anyone would like to come off mute, I know we're just about at time here. If there are any other questions, please feel free to reach out, and we will certainly work with Arun and his team to get those answers back to you as soon as possible. Arun, thank you again. That was a wealth of information and very exciting. So we appreciate you joining us today to share. I know
Thank you.
Thank you. I know we are at time, but I just wanted to quickly share some next steps. Obviously, those of you here, thank you for joining the user group. We encourage you to share the link here on the slide if there's any others in your teams that would like to join. We've also established a Slack channel, so the link will be here in the deck when we share that out, and we encourage you to join the Slack channel as well, so you can connect with some of your peers as well as some Adobe subject matter experts, via that channel. Also included the link to Adobe Experience League, where a lot of the information and content around all of our solutions is there, as well as some steps if you're not already leveraging Adobe Experience League to join and start your journey today. And again, thank you to Shireen for sharing some of the experiences of Adobe Summit. We're including the link here to Adobe Summit 2024, so you can go back and take a look at a lot of the sessions on demand. We've also included two sessions focused on forms here that you can obviously go back and watch the recordings as well. And again, we included the link to register for the Adobe Government Forum coming up next week on May 1st, as Jonathan Bennett shared with us. So the link is in the chat, but it will also be here in the deck for you to leverage as well. So again, thank you for joining us today. We are planning our next meeting next quarter, probably mid to late summer. So we will get back to you with more details on that in the coming weeks. But we appreciate you for taking the time out of your day to join us, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of our presenters. Have a great day.